A very good morning and welcome back to Core Finance TV. My name is Malcolm Grahamwood and today I've got another CEO interview. I'm delighted to say that this morning my guest is Gil Holzman, who is President and CEO of Eco-Atlantic Oil and Gas. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Malky, and thank you for having me.
That's an absolute pleasure. There's so much going on
in
Eco-Atlantic at the moment. I hardly know where to start, but for those who don't know it that well, perhaps you could just give us a little overview and then we'll dig deeper into the portfolio.
Sure. Eco-Atlantic is an oil exploration company. We try to identify prospective basins, somewhat underexplored, across the Atlantic margin, mainly only in stable jurisdictions, preferably English-speaking. We have a small team of very experienced G&G guys, reservoir engineers and geophysicists, geologists. They try to identify or they try to find ancient river systems that might have created prospective basins across the Atlantic margin. We come in early.
Yeah.
We always negotiate directly with governments and we take a very large working interest of each block to start with. We de-risk it internally and the bespoke strategy of ours is to bring it to a stage where we can actually farm it out to much bigger partners to enjoy their technical horsepower and their additional financial resources. We managed to do it in Namibia. We came in quite early in 2011, and we managed to do it in British Guyana. We came in 2014 before any discovery was ever made. Today we have a portfolio of 5 offshore blocks, and we are partners with the likes of Tullow Oil, Total, Azinam, and others. Africa Oil is a major shareholder of the company. So that is the strategy. This is what we're doing all the way up to a discovery.
Well, it's certainly been successful up till now. Let's have a look at your 2 key geographies first of all. We'll go to Namibia first because a year or so ago, when if we'd been talking, Namibia would have probably been front and centre, and you would have you have 4 blocks in Namibia, all of which are exciting, and again have been made more exciting by other big companies coming in, such as Exxon and so on. Tell me where you've got up to with Namibia. What's going on in Namibia at the moment?
So I must tell you, Malky, I was back last week from Namibia. I participated in the International Oil and Gas Conference there that took place in Walvis Bay. We are in Namibia. We've been in Namibia since 2011, and we've seen all the cycles of the exploration there. Namibia, from 2011 until 2017, was a country with what I call one-well companies. Yeah. Small companies like us that had an offshore position that could actually do the G&G work, do the seismic work, and drill one well. If the well worked, great. If it doesn't work, you're either out of the country or out of business, such as Chariot, Serica, Global Petroleum, Pan-Continental, you name it. In the past 2 years, and following one discovery that was made offshore Namibia in the Walvis Basin by HRT and Gulp back in 2013, which actually discovered oil and proved the source rock, we could see, and we see, a flock of much bigger companies coming into Namibia, such as Shell, Total, ExxonMobil, of course, and Cosmos. These companies came in the past year and a half, and now Namibia has changed dramatically in the sense that these big companies are coming to properly explore, and we're going to see a lot of exploration activity going on in the next year and 2. Exxon have recently announced 2 weeks ago that they took additional 4 blocks offshore Namibia. We have 4 offshore blocks surrounding the Exxon block in the Walvis Basin. This block was the subject for the HRT discovery. Total are going to drill a well coming September. Shell are going to drill offshore Wildcat by the end of the year. And Exxon has said that they're going to invest a lot of time and effort and money into exploration in the next 2 years. So it's my belief and my understanding, our understanding, based on the geology that we see there, that with the proper exploration efforts that can be introduced by Exxon, Total, Shell, and the likes, we're going to see a discovery in Namibia in the next 2 years. Exxon guys said that they see the similarity to offshore Brazil, to the Santos and Campos Basin. Exxon came up with with an amazing technology. They can actually see what the basin looked like 120 million years ago, and they see the similarity and the connectivity to, or the relation to the Brazil offshore play. And I believe that Exxon, Total, and Shell will prove the play for everyone. By the way, Total just proved the play offshore South Africa with the Propada successful well in partnership with Africa Energy and Qatar Petroleum. So there's a lot to look for in Namibia. We have 4 offshore blocks, as I said. 2 of them are drill ready already. We completed the 3D seismic processing and interpretation. We identified the prospects. We will open a data room in the next few weeks to invite additional partners to come and drill with us. So there's a lot to look for in Namibia in the next year or so.
And to a certain extent, I mean, by the very nature of the fact that you've got in there early, some of these other companies will probably de-risk some of your acreage in this process over the next few months.
And mainly Exxon.
Yeah.
Exxon, as I said, Exxon has one block which is sitting right in the middle of our 4 offshore blocks. They already completed a very extensive 3D survey. I think it's going to be a subject for sometimes the first half of next year. And definitely it will be very telling. Even the Cormorant well that was drilled by Tullow recently, and the Prospect S that was drilled by Chariot and Azinam recently, had some gas shows and hydrocarbon shows. They still try to understand exactly what went wrong in these wells, or what went well in these wells. And we keep on adding additional information and knowledge. One should remember the basin, Walvis Basin itself, is in the size of the North Sea. And it was only been subject to 11 exploration wells in the past 10 years. So with more exploration activity going on in Namibia, we are getting closer and closer to the first discovery.
Excellent. Let's turn to Guyana, where everybody's extremely excited, and I wouldn't blame you if you were extremely excited too, because it's imminent. We'll come back to that in a minute. The effect on the area and the Orinduit block that you have, following Exxon's long list of successes, and of course all the preparatory work that you did, which enabled you to continue and then do the Total farm out, must mean that you're obviously very excited. Talk me through the numbers, because the CPR that you produced a little while ago gave you gross unrisked prospective resources on a P50 basis of nearly 4 billion barrels, which would be 600 million barrels to you.
Net to us.
Before we go into the actual drilling, tell me about the Orinduit block. And
first of all, the Orinduit block sits right on the slope. We start at 70 meters of water depth, and we go all the way down on the slope to the 1,350 meters water depth, right? And it's adjacent to the Stabroek block, where Exxon did a world record of 13 discoveries, consecutive discoveries, one after the other. The smallest one was with 250 million barrels. Exxon today already reported and booked 5.5 billion barrels, and that's excluding the Hammerhead, which is being appraised as we speak. I will speak about it in a minute. So the area is obviously one big pool of oil. And Exxon managed to crack the play. Exxon, at first, they started to look much deeper water into the big fens, and they got closer and closer to the slope, exactly where we sit, where they made all the big discoveries. So in many ways, the Exxon discoveries de-risked the basin, of course, and de-risked our block, which is, as I said, adjacent, and Hammerhead actually extends in part into our block. So when we started looking into our data back in 2017 and 2018, it was before the Hammerhead discovery. We looked at the Cretaceous targets, and we quoted 2.9 billion barrels of prospective oil on our block. The Hammerhead discovery that was discovered in August 2018 opened up a whole new play, which is the tertiary geological age. And as I said, it extends into our block. And then we looked into tertiary targets that enable us to add additional 1.1 billion barrels of prospective oil on our block at the tertiary age, which is going to be the subject of our first 2 wells that we're going to drill starting in 4 weeks. So as I said, the Exxon discoveries, first of all, they proved that there are at least 3 plays over there: Cretaceous, upper tertiary, and lower tertiary. And they also proved that the oil is being somewhere concentrated around the slope. Now, the American Geological Institute suggests that the Guyana Basin can host up to 20 billion barrels. Exxon already reported 5.5. Hammerhead will be assessed in the next few weeks, and we will have a figure. So probably their figure will go over 6 billion barrels, but there are still a lot of billions of barrels to uncover there, and we hope to be the next ones to come up with big discoveries there.
Well, it's going to make some difference to the Guyana economy, isn't it?
It's already made a huge difference. Come on, they're going to multiply their GDP overnight 5 times, starting with the start of production.
Yeah.
Exxon will already sanctioned last year the Liza 1 FPSO. They're going to start producing end of this year at a rate of 120,000 barrels a day.
Yeah.
Last week, Exxon and Hess, they sanctioned Liza Phase 2.
Yeah.
They're going to ramp it up to 250,000 barrels in
that,
2022. And they're going to ramp it up to 750,000 barrels a day in 2025, only from the starboard block.
Yeah.
Mind you, that's 1 barrel per person in Guyana per day.
Yeah.
So the effect is, of course, is enormous.
Okay, let's have a look at the summer's drilling. We're in the middle of May, beginning of May at the moment. So your plan is that you'll be drilling in June. So we'll say about a month ago. You've decided to start with the Jethro prospect, which is P50 of 215 million barrels, over 40% chance of success.
Yes.
What made you choose the Jethro well first? Because of course it's the other end of the block to Hammerhead as it happens. But
first of all, we have Tullow as the operator and Total as a partner. So you enter into a room with 23 people with the best experience in the world in finding oil, and naturally we are just a part of the team, and we take the decisions together and unanimously. Jethro is a lower tertiary target which sits on the same sand bodies as Hammerhead. We could actually see the bright spot on Jethro. The high chance of success is mainly attributed to the fact that the hydrocarbon presence is not even a question. There is hydrocarbon in the basin and quite close to us. The Tullow guys, as well as the Total guys, we all picked this target first because it has a good chance of success. We could see the Jethro is a lobe. We can actually see the structure, and we firmly believe that it contains oil, but it will be only an opener of a complex, what we call the Jethro complex, which the Tullow guys think is somewhat similar to the 10 complex in Ghana. So we're going to target the lobe first. Hopefully it will work, and we will know in the next 2 months. But that will open a whole new complex that will be subject to additional offset drillings if and when we come up with discoveries.
So the Joe well, which is the second well, that'll be a little further away. And
that is a little further away, shallow well water, 600 meters. Again, it looks like a distinct standalone target at the upper tertiary geological age. And again, we hope that with these high chances of success, we can prove this one as well. There are additional 12 prospects on this block, which still need to be de-risked through our drilling campaign and with additional interpretation of the 3D data. We will drill these 2 wells, and then we will go back to the drawing table, add this additional information from these 2 wells into the current 3D process data that we have in order to decide on the next steps. This block will be subject to additional exploration next year and in following years, simply because we have so many targets over there. So the 2 wells, that the first one is going to be spud in 4 weeks from now, are only the beginning of a very big exploration and hopefully a production effort in the years to come. thanks God, we are fully funded for whatever scenario.
Yeah, I'll come back to the funding in a minute. And so the campaign is only going to be 2 wells for the time being, and the second well is going to be quite a lot cheaper than the first well,
Yes.
isn't it? Because of the mobilisation costs. And so.
First of all the mob, demob, wellheads, casing, we already amortized on the first well. The second well is shallower, the shallower target, so it will take less days. On the first well, we're going to go a bit deeper, and we're going to test the cretaceous as well. So, and again, first well, you always budget more conservatively. So we estimate 35 to 40 days for the first well. The second well should be around 20 days.
And there isn't a deeper and a shallower target in
Yes.
There is.
Yes.
And you'll be going to both targets.
On the first well, because under the petroleum agreement, we must test the quotations as well. So we're going to meet all our obligations under the petroleum agreement on the first well, and then we move on to the second well.
Okay. You briefly mentioned there that you're completely funded for all the potential opportunities.
For whatever scenario.
You've just done a placing where you raised $17 million in London.
Yes.
Well oversubscribed, I'm
Yes.
told, and you brought on some new shareholders. Your existing, come back to shareholders in a minute, but your existing shareholders also participated at ATP, which was probably a good way of getting that sort of price sort of franked in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. You said at the time that it would be for up to 4 potential exploration or development wells, in addition to the 2 wells
Yes.
that you're drilling this summer. So effectively, what you're playing safe to make sure that whatever happens in these 2 wells, anyone comes to you for an AFE for something else
Exactly.
later in the year, beginning next year, you're covered. You'd consider your financing to be in a very strong place at the moment, I guess.
We have a 15% working interest on the Orange Rig block. Tullow has 60%, they are the operator. Total has 25%, we sold them 25% in return for $13.5 million, which will be sufficient for the first 3 wells. On top of that, as you said, we raised $17 million lately out of 24 that was offered to us over 1 day of book running, and we managed to position some very smart and long-term institutions that would like to follow us into the drilling program into Guyana. Currently, we have $35 million. Each well on a long-term basis is going to cost us net of $3.5 million. Let's say $4 million. So we are fully funded for, let's say, the next 6 to 7 wells. And as I said, we are equipped for whatever scenario. So that takes you
well into next year.
Yes, well into next
year. If it was successful straight away or early doors, you're also well financed for
an offset well, for a producing well.
Yeah.
Yes,
Excellent.
Each producing well is going to cost around $20 million over there. So again, around $3.5 million net to us. We are, as I said, we are very well positioned and well equipped for whatever decision the joint venture led by Tullow and Total is going to take. We can firmly say we are in with you guys.
No, that's great news. And you've had these very supportive shareholders. Obviously, you had some new ones in the last raise, but particularly Africa Oil, Lundin, and so on. And the management have got some skin in the game. So you've had quite a lot of highly supportive shareholders almost right from the start, haven't you?
Africa Oil is extremely supportive, and not because just they're supportive.
They got plenty of money.
No, because they're a big believer in what we are doing and our business model and our particular block in Guyana. You must remember that at the wheel of Africa Oil sitting Keith Hill, and Keith is an enthusiastic explorationist.
Yes,
and
I know him well.
And he's a very experienced exploration guy. And when we have board meetings, he actually looks at the data, and he's very bullish about what he sees. Our Africa Oil deal, they are kept at 20% of the company, so they cannot go over 20%. So on each raise, they participated up to their 20% cap. If it was up to Keith, he might have taken more.
I'm sure he would. I like Keith a lot, and must be a very useful member of your board. As usual, the time goes very quickly. We've nearly got to 20 minutes already. And
felt like 5.
And here I'd just like to say, as I say to every CEO, from where you're sitting now, what do you vision? How do you vision the company over the next 12 to 18 months? What would you like to see?
First of all, that's a great question, Malky. You are following us since probably 2 years now.
Oh yeah.
When we were at 20p levels.
Yeah,
and you always said right from the outset, guys, this is a company that is going to make the 10 bagger easily. And you were there supporting us right from the beginning. One thing that I take a special pride is that we always deliver to our promises. When we say, listen guys, we're going to have this new block, we have this new block. When we say we're going to bring in Total, we bring in Total. When we say, listen guys, we're going to drill in June and we're going to be fully funded for that, we are going to drill in June and fully funded as a very tiny exploration company teaming up with the best in the world, Tullow Oil and Total. There's one thing that I now cannot influence, and this is the drilling results.
Yeah.
So starting June, 4 weeks from now, we're going to spud the first well. It's the first time in the life of the company that I cannot actually influence the outcome. Hopefully the Total and Tullow guys and our internal team, we know exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to have a discovery. So I cannot tell you exactly what the company will look like after the first discovery in 2 months from now. I can tell you that Guyana is the center of focus for many big oil companies. We just read 2 days ago that the Indians, which is the third biggest consumer of oil in the world, because of the Iranian sanctions, they now eyeing Guyana as their prime source for oil. So there are a lot of big companies and big nations eyeing Guyana now. If we are going to be there with a big discovery on our block, I cannot tell you exactly how it will play eventually, but we definitely, and this is one thing that I always make sure to deliver, we definitely here to create shareholders value in whatever way, being as a producer or teaming up later down the road with other companies. I'm here to create shareholders value, and hopefully I will be able to deliver on this promise in the next 2-3 months.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Today's guest has been Gil Holzman, who is CEO and President of Eco Atlantic Oil and Gas. It's a busy time coming up for him, as you've heard, and we look forward to watching it in the upcoming months. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again next time. Bye now.